This is Hendrick Tallardar with the February Nullsec recap. Following the bloodbath of B-R5RB, Nulli Secunda opted to move themselves to a new staging system in Torrid. At the same time, Northern Coalition removed themselves from the southern fighting, which had been lingering on since October. To the north, Black Legion and Clusterfuck Coalition member Circle of Two came to blows, which led to the now former leader of Black Legion, Elo Knight, to state that the group would then be attacking Circle of Two, and if necessary, potentially other CFC entities. Meanwhile, in Outer Passage, N3 member Why So Serious were demanded to hand over their sovereignty holdings by Pandemic Leadership member Grath Telkin. The demand was made due to Why So Serious's alleged lack of participation in the Halloween Wars fighting. The N3 Alliance agreed to the terms and the transfer was conducted without issue. Insidious Empire, who had bounced from various regions during the war, closed their doors and ceased to function as an alliance. In the announcement, Freeze stated all sovereignty would be handed over to Pandemic Legion to then become a part of the Brothers of Tangra Renter Alliance. The decision came due to Freeze's inability to consistently lead the alliance and a lack of leadership he felt comfortable handing the alliance over to. Following these alliances, N3 Coalition member Cult of War handed over the majority of their SOV to Northern Coalition. The systems were located in the Spire region, leaving Cult of War with just one system in Faith of Bolus. The stated reason was that Cow were asked to give the SOV to NC Dot, and they obliged. 19 Goonswarm Federation carriers and a number of their subcaps were destroyed in the system of JU-OWQ. The fight began over a deployed encounter surveillance system, which GSF members had attempted to defend from a pilot who attempted to steal from the module. After the Goon fleet had chased the pilot off, they became aware of a triumvirate interceptor gang. The Goons then moved a Chimera and an Ashimu to the ESS and goaded the interceptor fleet. However, the Triumvirate fleet called for backup and formed an Ishtar fleet in their staging system. Triumvirate Sabers bubbled the carrier and held it on the field, which then prompted Goons to bring in a kitchen sink fleet to clear the tackle off the carrier. This was an unsuccessful attempt as the Triumvirate Ishtar fleet arrived on the scene and scared the Goons away. Once the Ishtars were spotted, Goons scrambled more carriers and brought them in, bringing the total of 28 carriers to the fight. Unable to kill the carriers, Triumvirate attacked the on-field subcapital fleet, while notifying Black Legion and Mordu's Angels for support. The Goon FCs were unable to make the right calls and could not save their carriers despite having formed 25 carriers in addition to those on field, though they were staved off by the presence of Maelstroms fielded by Black Legion. Out in Oasa, a small alliance named exiner Scriptor had attempted to convince Goonswarm Federation to set up a staging platform deep in Pandemic Legion controlled territory. The group had been ordered out of the region after refusing to pay Pandemic Legion's new price for the monthly rental. The Alliance had contacted Goonswarm Federation leader the Mittani regarding an offer the Alliance had devised. The offer was ignored by the leadership of Goonswarm Federation, but Scooter McCabe, a noted scammer, took it upon himself to contact the group, sensing an opportunity to make some ISK. Scooter was then told that the group wanted to hand over the space to Goons to help them begin an invasion of Pandemic Legion space. This would, of course, be in violation of the Botlord agreements Pandemic Legion and the CFC had recently signed. Continuing to feign interest, Scooter placed an alternate character under his control and was given director roles in the Alliance's Executor Corps. This was done under the guise of committing an audit of the Alliance before payment could be made. In reality, Scooter had been in contact with the Mittani and Pandemic Legion's Grath Telkin and explained the situation. PL had then opted to pay Scooter to take the space and remove the needed iHubs, while posing as placing Goonswarm Federation iHub. However, the iHubs would actually be set for Pandemic Legion, thus foiling exiner Scriptor's plan, removing all their SOV. Not to make it easy for the group, Scooter also ejected every member from the Directorate in the Executor Corp and kicked all corporations from the Alliance, making him the sole member. He then ransomed off all the Alliance assets for roughly 30 billion ISK they have yet to pay. 5 days later, Goonswarm leader the Mittani stated that the CFC would not be moving back home like many had assumed. Instead, they would attack the N3 Coalition at the head by committing a week-long hell camp of the main N3 staging system, 0-W778. The hell camp went well for the group, as N3 opted to bide their time and wait for an opportune moment to attempt a breakout. However, when the time came, the CFC were able to thwart the attempt, and the station became under Goonswarm Federation control. The Goons then opted to pull a page from Pandemic Legion's playbook and quote-unquote dead-zoned the system. This is a maneuver in which a specific corporation takes control of the station, but makes it inaccessible to anyone else. This cuts the ability for the N3 to retrieve any assets in the station through spies and hidden alts. Following this, Northern Coalition took their time and focused on several successful attacks on Russian Coalition members. Specifically, they took down 18 Russian carriers in T-AQZ, with allies mildly intoxicated. NC. Also took down 17 Coven dreadnoughts in DABV-N. The attack showed that although the war may not have gone well for N3 in the recent weeks, they were still down to fight to the last man. Following the success in their hell camp of 0-W778, the CFC opted to return to the north to refill their wallets and deal with various smaller groups harassing non-deployed CFC members and causing trouble. In the wake of this, however, the Russian Coalition Alliance Against All Authorities failed to install an infrastructure hub during their 13-day ownership of UM-SCG. AAA called for an evac of the system, which led to N3 and Pandemic Legion meeting minimal resistance while reconquering. AAA fell back to the Solar Fleet-held system of E8-YS9 as a result. As February came to a close, it became clear that despite having been set back by the recent losses in the war with the Russians and CFC, the N3 Coalition and Pandemic Legion still have a lot of fight left. For more EVE Online news, visit thematani.com.